Jungkook's appeal extends far beyond music. His presence is visible across fashion, beauty, lifestyle, fitness, and even technology markets. For brands, this kind of cross-sector adaptability is extremely rare. American companies in particular are drawn to celebrities who can influence consumer behavior across demographics and product categories. Jungkook represents this type of figure, making him a high-value target for billion-dollar corporations seeking global visibility. For instance, Jungkook's association with Calvin Klein has already demonstrated measurable commercial impact. Sales spikes, global media coverage, and digital engagement linked directly to his campaigns show that his brand power converts not only into attention but into revenue. When U.S. corporations analyze these results, the calculation is straightforward. Securing Jungkook as a partner, ambassador, or even long-term collaborator is less a gamble and more a strategic investment. The American entertainment and consumer goods industries have historically pursued individuals who can embody both domestic appeal and international relevance. In this sense, Jungkook stands at the intersection of two lucrative markets. Domestically, he is already widely recognized in the US due to BTS's years of chart-topping success, sold-out stadium tours, and repeated appearances at American award shows. Internationally, his influence ensures that any American brand aligning with him immediately gains visibility in Asia, Europe, and beyond. This dual market reach is particularly important in a competitive corporate environment. Brands such as Nike, Apple, and PepsiCo are no longer satisfied with figures who only dominate in one region. They are constantly searching for personalities who can serve as bridges between markets. Jungkook, due to his global cultural resonance, provides precisely this opportunity. Endorsement strategies among billion-dollar corporations often come down to measurable returns on investment. In Jungkook's case, several factors make him uniquely valuable. Digital engagement. Jungkook consistently dominates social media platforms, from Twitter trends to TikTok challenges. This means any collaboration with him automatically gains massive organic promotion without excessive advertising costs. Consumer trust. As a member of BTS, he has cultivated a reputation that blends professionalism, authenticity, and relatability. This credibility transfers directly to brands, creating higher consumer trust in endorsed products. Age and longevity. At his current age, Jungkook sits in a prime window for long-term endorsements. Unlike artists who peak later or earlier, his influence shows potential sustainability across at least another decade. Versatility. His image can be adapted to multiple brand identities, from luxury fashion to mainstream consumer goods, without creating contradictions. Given these advantages, American corporations view Jungkook as not merely a temporary celebrity collaborator, but as a cornerstone for long-term brand strategies. One of the most intriguing aspects of this situation is HYBE's apparent silence or passive approach in response to the mounting interest from billion-dollar US companies. While Jungkook continues to appear in high-profile campaigns, there is little public indication of HYBE aggressively negotiating or publicizing these opportunities. Contractual control. HYBE may be deliberately restricting the volume of Jungkook's brand collaborations to prevent market oversaturation. Limiting exposure could help preserve his long-term market value. Negotiation strategy. Silence can be a negotiation tactic. By not responding immediately, HYBE may be signaling that any brand partnership must come at a premium cost. Corporate priorities. HYBE may currently be prioritizing group-related projects, infrastructure investments, or other subsidiaries. allocating resources to individual endorsements might not align with their short-term agenda. Artist autonomy. Another possibility is that Jungkook himself has more control over brand partnerships than outsiders assume, with HYBE simply respecting his choices. To fully understand why US companies are pushing so hard to secure Jungkook, one must look at the economics of celebrity endorsements. Research consistently shows that attaching a global superstar to a brand can result in immediate increases in brand recognition, sales, and cultural relevance. For billion-dollar companies, even a small percentage increase in consumer engagement can translate into hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. For example, if a beverage company secures Jungkook as an ambassador and sales rise by just 2% globally, the absolute profit could exceed what they might generate through years of conventional advertising. From the perspective of these corporations, the high upfront cost of signing Jungkook is easily justified by the long-term gains. Another layer to this dynamic is corporate competition. It is not simply about signing Jungkook for his direct impact, it is also about preventing rivals from gaining access to his influence. If one American company secures him, competitors are automatically at a disadvantage in markets where Jungkook has reach. This competitive psychology explains why brands may be willing to pay extraordinary sums or engage in aggressive pursuit strategies. HYBE has transformed from a K-pop agency into a global entertainment conglomerate with subsidiaries spanning music production, fan platforms, merchandising, and beyond. Within this structure, individual artist endorsements may not always take center stage. However, Jungkook's unique market value raises the question of whether HYBE risks losing opportunities by maintaining its current silence. Investors and analysts may begin questioning whether HYBE is fully leveraging Jungkook's global brand power. If billion-dollar companies are knocking at the door, ignoring or delaying these opportunities could appear as mismanagement. On the other hand, by holding back, HYBE may be positioning itself to secure only the most lucrative and strategically aligned deals. If current trends continue, one can expect American billion-dollar brands to intensify their pursuit of Jungkook. The potential outcomes can be categorized into three scenarios. Controlled partnerships. HYBE carefully selects a small number of elite brands that align with Jungkook's image, maximizing long-term value while avoiding dilution. Expanded collaborations. HYBE allows Jungkook to work with a larger number of US corporations, resulting in immediate financial gain but potential risks of overexposure. Independent direction. Jungkook himself may take greater autonomy in choosing partnerships, possibly diverging from HYBE's centralized approach. Whichever path unfolds, the key fact remains unchanged. Jungkook's name has reached a level where billion-dollar corporations see him not merely as a Korean pop star, but as a global commercial force. HYBE's silence in this moment can either be interpreted as hesitation or as a calculated strategy for bigger moves. Now, rival corporations such as Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, and even athletic brands like Nike and Adidas face a strategic dilemma: whether to attempt to compete for his attention or risk being overshadowed in markets where he holds sway. This competitive tension is particularly sharp in the US, where brand identity is deeply tied to celebrity partnerships. A single figure can define cultural perception for years, as seen with figures like Michael Jordan for Nike or Rihanna for Fenty collaborations. Jungkook has entered this category of influence. Another factor that explains the intense pursuit is the role of media amplification. American corporations understand that securing Jungkook does not only bring direct consumer attention, but also generates free publicity through global media coverage. Every campaign, photo release, or event appearance linked to him is dissected by international outlets, lifestyle magazines, and digital platforms. This media multiplier effect reduces the cost of advertising. Instead of investing hundreds of millions of dollars in traditional campaigns, corporations can rely on the organic buzz that follows Jungkook's involvement. In financial terms, this is a form of cost efficiency. In cultural terms, it is an expansion of influence without additional effort. Given these dynamics, HYBE's apparent silence becomes even more curious. Why would a company with access to such a commercially powerful asset not actively announce or pursue more collaborations? Several deeper explanations are possible. Risk management. By restricting collaborations, HYBE may be protecting Jungkook from overexposure that could damage both his credibility and long-term brand value. Market timing. HYBE may be waiting for moments of maximum strategic leverage, such as during BTS's post-enlistment group activities, before unleashing new partnerships. Revenue diversification. HYBE has built multiple business divisions, including Weverse, music labels, and content production. Heavy reliance on brand endorsements may not align with their diversified revenue strategy. Artist preference. Jungkook may himself prefer a more selective approach, and HYBE could be accommodating his priorities. Inside American boardrooms, the conversation is not whether Jungkook is valuable, but how much they must be willing to invest to secure him. Rival companies recognize that failure to act quickly could result in competitors monopolizing his influence. This is particularly critical in markets like beverages, where ambassador exclusivity is standard. For example, if a global soda brand were to secure Jungkook, its direct rival would be left at a disadvantage for years. This competitive drive pushes corporations to make bold offers, sometimes far exceeding standard endorsement contracts. The willingness to pay premium prices reflects a calculation not only of Jungkook's current value, but of his potential to maintain relevance for the next decade. Another reason for this pursuit lies in broader consumer trends. American consumers, particularly younger demographics, are increasingly global in their tastes. Social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram expose them to international culture daily, creating a generation that values diversity in representation. Jungkook, as both a Korean artist and a global pop figure, aligns perfectly with these preferences. Moreover, American consumers are drawn to authenticity. Jungkook's reputation for professionalism, humility, and consistency makes him appear trustworthy. When he promotes a product, audiences perceive it less as a commercial tactic and more as a genuine association. For brands, this perception translates into higher conversion rates and long-term loyalty. Corporations do not simply sign celebrities, they invest in cultural icons who can sustain relevance. American companies often look for figures who can transcend short-lived trends and maintain influence across decades. Jungkook's trajectory suggests that he fits this profile. His evolution from a teenage idol to a global superstar has already proven his ability to adapt and sustain public interest. Furthermore, his association with BTS adds another layer of value. Even while focusing on solo activities, Jungkook benefits from the group's collective brand power. For US corporations, this means securing not just Jungkook, but also indirect access to the cultural weight of BTS. HYBE's position is delicate. On one hand, it must maximize the value of Jungkook's influence. On the other, it must ensure that his brand does not overshadow the group or destabilize HYBE's broader portfolio. The company has a responsibility to balance individual success with group cohesion. This balancing act may explain why HYBE appears passive. even as billion-dollar corporations line up. At the same time, HYBE may be aware that scarcity increases value. By maintaining silence and limiting access, they are effectively raising the price of any future collaborations. For US corporations, the message is clear. Working with Jungkook is possible, but it requires extraordinary offers. Looking ahead, several scenarios can be anticipated. Selective US partnerships. HYBE and Jungkook may focus on signing only with the most globally relevant American corporations, such as Apple or Nike, while rejecting smaller offers. Global campaign anchors. Jungkook could become the centerpiece of multi-year global campaigns, where American brands integrate him into long-term identity strategies. Shift toward autonomy. If HYBE continues to remain silent, Jungkook might eventually assert more independence in handling his brand collaborations, mirroring trends seen with Western artists who manage their own endorsements. In all these cases, the competition among American billion-dollar companies will remain fierce. The scale of his influence ensures that the battle for his attention is not temporary but structural, likely to intensify as BTS resumes group activities in the future.